Hello there. The school year is quickly winding down. So today I'm here to share with you 5 tips that you can use to ensure that you clean up your Google Classroom so that you can start afresh for the new school year. Though these tips are geared towards the end of year, you can also use these tips at the end of the quarter, trimester, or semester if you usually create new Google Classrooms at the end of those. So without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
Tip number one is to return students' assignments. To do this, log into Google Classroom, then click on the To Review tab. Another way to find this would be to click on the 3 dots and click To Review. By default, all of your assignments for all of your classes are listed. This can be quite a daunting list. So, click on the caret to select one class at a time. In this list, you'll see all of the assignments and the status of each of those assignments. How many have been turned in, how many have been assigned. Assigned means that these students have not turned them in or they do not have due dates, and how many you have returned. You can also see how many have been turned in, assigned, and how many have been graded if you grade assignments. For the previous class I just showed, I did not grade assignments for that Google Classroom. Now you want to return all work. So let's go back to that practice classroom. I will select the Turn In tab, and here it brings me to this page where I can grade the assignments and return them. So I'll click on the checkbox next to Turned In, and I'll click Return. Confirm that I want to return these assignments. Now if I go back to my To Review, I'll go back to that classroom, and now you'll see that I have 0 turned in. I still have 6 assigned, but now I've returned all of those assignments. I will then click on the 3 dots and mark as reviewed. You want to continue this step for all of the assignments in all of your Google Classrooms. You can also click on the Review tab to see a list of all the assignments that you've already reviewed. This is a practice that you want to do throughout the school year or the grading period, or however long you keep your grade books for. Tip number 2 is to remove students from the Google Classroom. So after you've already returned all of the students' work, remember this is the end of the marking period or the semester or the year. You will now click on the People tab because we want to now remove students from this Google Classroom. I will click on the People tab, click on the checkbox next to Action, then click Action and Remove. Confirm that you want to remove those students. Tip number 3 is to organize your Google Classroom folder. By default, when you create a Google Classroom, a classroom folder is automatically created. And within this classroom folder are subfolders for each of your Google Classrooms. And when you click into each of those classrooms, you'll see all of your assignments that you've given to your students. Very important tip. Do not delete this folder. What we're going to do, however, is to organize the folder. So I will double click on the classroom folder, and I now want to archive the folders from this year's classroom or this marking period's classroom. So I will create a new folder and I'll give it a unique name. In this example, I'm going to call it Archive and I may name it 2020 to 2021 so that I'll know that that is the school year. I will now drag all of the classroom folders into that archive folders. If you want to create other subfolders, go right ahead and do those. Tip number 4, delete your calendars. Now by default, each time you create a Google Classroom, a calendar is automatically created for that classroom. Here you'll see that I have a list of all of my Google Classroom calendars. I've turned them on for this demonstration. So here we're going to delete the Google Classroom calendar. Remember, this is after you would have returned the students' work and removed them from the classrooms and organized your folders. You're now going to delete that calendar. I will locate that calendar. So in this case, I'm deleting the tutorial calendar. I click on the 3 dots, then I click on Settings and Sharing. I will scroll all the way down to the bottom of that page and I'll select Delete. I'll confirm that I want to delete this calendar. Now that I'm finished, I will go back to calendar and I'll complete this step once I've done the previous 4 steps as mentioned earlier. Tip number 5 is to archive the classroom. So I want to go back to the home screen, so I click on the 3 dots and click Classes. And remember, I just finished working on my tutorial classroom. I will now if I just want to make sure that it's the correct classroom, I click on it and I can see in people there are no people, so I know that that's the correct classroom that I'm in. I will now click on the 3 dots on the class card and I'll click Archive. I'll confirm that I want to archive this classroom. Now, it gives you a little note here. Once you archive your classroom, it's not deleted. You may use the assignments and other files that you've created in this classroom for future classes. And that's it for the end of year procedures for Google Classroom. Thank you and have a good end of year. Goodbye and thank you for watching.